so many of these happiness things are just down to perception, mindset, you know, keeping other people happy, or feeling that you've got to do what everybody else does. Guys, it's Matt Haycox here, and welcome to what is going to be a very special episode of the show. Special because not only am I drinking wine, but JP's back in the house, and that is the Dubai house. We're in Dubai, and with JP, and I'm drinking wine. What can go wrong?
Cheers, bro. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being here, buddy.
There's nothing that special about you drinking wine. Just maybe the fact that we're drinking it in Dubai together.
You know, I was actually thinking, this is like the second time we've drunk wine together recently, and not only have we seen each other more than we've ever seen each other, but I never really pegged you as a drinker before, and now you're like asking me to get the wine out.
Oh, I love wine. I'm not really a drinker in that, like, I drink every day, but I really appreciate good wine. Like, there's always red wine in our house, always. Now, I'm not a connoisseur like you. I'm learning from you.
Connoisseur is just a polite word for alcoholic, isn't it?
Maybe, but I'm definitely not either of those. But yeah, I like to drink wine. I really like to drink red wine. It's just, you know, good red wine. Like I had one the other day with some friends, and it just was, as it hit your palate, it was just like, oh, amazing.
I mean, like, for me, it's the same or as important, if not more important than the food. And I think, you know, that's why I've never, if I've needed to kind of not drink for a while when, you know, if I'm trying to work out or trying to get my head in the game, I've never found it hard to not drink because, you know, I never drink to get drunk. You know, I mean, I never really drank as a kid because, you know, for me, if I do get a bit tipsy off wine, then that's a side effect of drinking great wine or just drinking wine, I guess, in general, as opposed to the fact that I'm kind of setting out there to get pissed. So yeah, I mean, unless it's great, then I don't want to drink it. And when it is great, it is just such an unbelievable experience. I
mean, it really is an experience, you know, drinking good wine. And I've never seen you wasted or anything like that. So I've always seen you drinking for the appreciation of what you're drinking.
Yeah, I always say it's hard to get me drunk. Like, in my head, I like to think I can down 3 bottles of wine and still be completely compass mentis.
Yeah. Have you ever drank anything else?
Well,
I drink this every weekend.
So I didn't start drinking wine until I was about 30. Couldn't even stand the taste of it. Before that, I used to drink Smirnoff Ice.
Oh my god!
I mean, and we're talking
real and raw with Matt Haycox.
We're talking one exchange to the other. I'll tell you what happened. I mean, I literally just never liked the taste of wine. As a kid, my dad, you know, it was one of those things where my dad was like, "Oh, try this," you know, and he used to always drink wine. Now, you know, I guess I'll sound like a wine snob now and say, like, in hindsight, you know, he never drank the kind of wine that I like to drink now. But he'd always have a bottle of wine, you know, with dinner or around the house. And I'd been offered it to try so many times, I never really enjoyed it. So all through my 20s, like I say, if I was going out to a nightclub or something, I'd have a vodka orange, or normally like a what's that drink called? Or a White Russian, you know, vodka Kahlua and Baileys, or I mean proper Del Boy girly drinks. Yeah. And then when I was about 30, I was out one night in Manchester. I was out with Harley's mom. We'd gone for dinner in this great Manchester restaurant called Wings, and she was sat at the bar. She doesn't drink wine either. And when we were ordering a drink before dinner, she said, "Oh, I think I'll have a glass of Merlot." I remember looking at her, you don't even know what Merlot is. Like, you know, how are these words coming out of your mouth? Anyway, she orders a glass of Merlot. I ordered whatever I ordered. And I said, oh, she goes, "Oh, I like this. You should try it." So I tried a little bit of it. And it was nice enough. So we sat down to dinner and she goes, "Oh, should we get a bottle of wine?" So I didn't have a clue what I was ordering, but we got a wine list. And this restaurant in Manchester, although it's Chinese, it's quite well known for having a decent wine cellar. The guy who owns it's a bit of a wine fanatic. And I looked at the wine list and we bought a bottle. Let's just say for argument's sake, this bottle was 100 quid. Didn't know what I was drinking, but we quite liked it. Anyway, we finished that. She goes, "Oh, should we get another bottle?" So we've moved on to another bottle. Let's say this bottle was like 200 quid. So we've drunk that. And then we finished that. She goes, "Should we get one more?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" So anyway, I called Wing over. Mr. Wingy's called from this Chinese restaurant, and that's true. And I said, "Listen," I said, "I know nothing about wine." I said, "But when you drink 100, how do you know like the difference between 100 and 200 and 600 pounds? Like, what are all these different bottles?" He's like, "The £100 bottle that touched the senses of your tongue, yeah." I'm like, "Yeah." It's like the £200 that's like involving your ears as well. He goes, but by the time you get to this bottle, that uses 7 of your 6 senses. I'm like, fucking bring it to the table now. This guy knows how to sell. So we drank that bottle as well.
Talk about emotional selling.
So like I said, I had no idea what we were drinking, but I just knew I was really enjoying what we were drinking. And I guess it's like, you know, whether it's serendipitous or whatever, but literally the next day it was Sunday, and I'm reading the Sunday Times, and they always have in the money supplement, the back page is always something called like How I Made It or something like that. And it's always a full page article with an interesting person, a business owner, a celebrity, you know, whatever it may be about them and money. And it was an interview with this guy called Stephen Williams, who owned a business called the Antique Wine Company. And basically it was explaining that Stephen was owned a wine business that sold wine for investment and drinking purposes. Now I didn't really know what this was, but I thought, that sounds interesting. And after last night, I now know I like wine. And I'd actually invested a lot in art up to that point, but I'd fallen out with my art dealer, and I wasn't buying any more art. So I thought, I'm going to email this Stephen. So I've emailed Stephen. I said, hi. I said, just read about you in the Sunday Times this morning. You know, great article. I said, I used to invest in art, but now I invest in wine. Now I'm be interested to invest in wine, but I don't know anything about it. So I said, maybe if you want to train me up, you can get some of my money. So he just emails me back saying, oh, you know, thanks for the message. Here's our price list of everything we've got at the moment. So I replied to him saying, as I said, I don't know anything I'm talking about. So if you want me to come and buy some stuff, you're gonna have to teach me. And he says, no problem. He goes, we do a lot of tastings at our facility in London. Why don't you come down? I went down literally about 2 weeks later to their tasting of a wine called Chateau Ponte Canet. Now, for anyone listening or watching this who knows wine, I mean, when I say it's about as good as it gets, so you know, it's not what they call a first growth wine. I'm going to say it was like a second, but one that arguably could be first. But, you know, unbelievable wine. And this was the first wine tasting I'd gone to. I didn't even particularly know. So I rock up to this great wine tasting facility in the centre of London. It's like a school laboratory underground, but done really fancy. So you've got all these benches that you sit on, and someone presents at the front while you all try your wine. So we've sat down, and I've gone there with Harley's mum, and there's like 12 wine glasses in front of you. Obviously, these glasses have all got a little bit of wine in each one. And then someone is at the front and present. And the person presenting was a guy called Alfred Tesseron, who was the owner of Chateau Ponte Canet. So this guy, French-speaking guy, you know, reasonable English. He's come over to present to us all, obviously to present and flog to us. But they were doing what they call a vertical tasting. So the vertical is like the same wine of every vintage. So we were drinking something like, I forget, from 2000 to say 2010 or 12 or whatever this story dates back to. So we're trying a bit of wine for each year, and they make a cognac there as well. So we're trying the cognac. Anyway, I'm sat on a table with 6 or 7 other people who I don't know, and there's all these other tables. And in the middle of the table is what I now know is called a spittoon, where so everyone drinks the wine, you know, tastes it and spits it into this spittoon. I don't know what it is, so I'm there sipping the wine, drinking the wine.
Oh fuck!
And they'll be coming around. I'll be saying, oh, any wine you like? I'm like, yeah, I like that number 3. You know, topping me up with some number 3. I'm drinking some more. And the person next to me, I said to her, I'm asking for more wine here, and you guys are all spitting it in this thing in the middle. You know, what's going on? And obviously this like posh old London lady looked at this northern Neanderthal like a piece of shit, and she looks at me, she goes, yes, we all know how much further we've got to go through tonight. I'm like, all right, love. So they're all making the notes, and it's like, you know, scents of vanilla with the aroma of chocolate paste or whatever. And I'm like, didn't really like number 2. Number 3 is better than number 1.
Classy.
These are all my notes at the end. And then at the end, you get to fill an order form in of anything you want to buy. So I'll have 10 cases of one, I'll have 6 cases of this. It's now like 11 o'clock at night.
And you're fucking wasted.
I'm completely levered. I'm ordering all this wine, ordering this cognac. Everyone else has gone home at this point. Now Alfred Tesser on the owner of the chateaus, like sat on my school bench with me. I've got my arm around him trying to drink out of the spittoon. And anyway, gone home. And the next morning I got a phone call and it was one of the sales ladies from this wine company. And she was going, Matt, it was great to meet you last night. Just calling to confirm your order. And we've got another tasting next week. Would you like to come down? I said, I'm surprised I'm invited to anything else. I said, I can't imagine after what I saw last night, I'm your usual customer. And she goes, oh, we like our customers to come in all shapes and sizes. I'm like, is that your polite way of saying you're a twat, but you just spent $5,000 on Ponte Cane, so we'll get you down again next week? And that's how my wine drinking journey started, to be honest.
Man, that's amazing. So literally a decade ago, you moved from Smirnoff Ice
to the best red wine in Bordeaux.
The best fucking wine in the world, yeah. And now you really love it a lot.
I really love it. I mean, listen, I'm not going to say I'm an expert in any way, shape or form, but, I know enough to be able to have some kind of appreciation of what I'm drinking. I know what I like and I know what I don't like. So, if I sit in a restaurant, I quite comfortably know I want grapes like this or I want that. But I think...
You're passionate.
I also think, for me, like with anything, you've got to, the key is to enjoy what you enjoy. And whilst I'm sure many would look at me as a wine snob because I only drink, well, let's say only, but let's say primarily drink what we call pretty pricey wine. But my rule with it is I've still got to love it. When you go to these wine dinners where you must pair the white wine with the fish and the sweet wine with the dessert and all this. I don't give a shit about any of that bollocks. I like what I like, and if I want to drink a nice heavy red wine with the lightest fish, well then that's what I want to do because I want to enjoy the taste. But it certainly is a passion. But I tell you what I like as well with the wine is kind of imagining the story and stuff behind it. And particularly like the kind of romanticism of the age. So last time we were together, we drank that 1962, and obviously there's another story with that bottle that we won't talk about. But the fact that was bottled in 1962, 20 years before I was born.
Incredible.
And you just think, as you're drinking, you're just thinking, 60 years ago, some fella was, being dragged by a horse through a field, pulling grapes that he was then treading on, and that's and obviously I don't know what the journey is, but that's what interests me. That
people win a fucking vat or whatever, stamping on bloody grapes just so you can taste this, this wine on your tongue.
And it's sat in that bottle, 20 years before I was born, through my entire life, through Harley's entire life, and now now we're drinking it.
It's so crazy that through your birth, that wine was already there.
Yeah.
It was already there, waiting for you to drink it 40 years later. So crazy. And this is something that actually, I really wanted to talk about. We kind of went into it in the car the other day, talking about looking back. For me, I think a lot of people underestimate the power of hindsight, looking back. And, we just spoke now, looking back, I know what I like and stuff, and I know what I don't like. And, you said, you're not a connoisseur, we're not an expert, but we only know what we know at our current level of awareness. So based on the awareness that you're at right now, you know what you like and what you don't like. Maybe as you continue to raise your awareness, as you do, because like myself, you're a fucking obsessed student, and you're always learning more. Maybe one day you will know what wine to put with what fish. But I have a saying in my I guess coaching business and life: reflection guides you to the truth, and the truth sets you free. Right? The second half of that most people know: the truth sets you free. But reflection guides us to the truth. And looking back, I think, is one of the most powerful things you can do, because for me, the most powerful lessons in my life have come in hindsight. Not looking down or looking forward, it's been looking back. Like, I would love to know from your perspective, because I get to share it all the time, but from your perspective, looking back, what have been the most powerful lessons for you? And we can break that down into many areas. Like, for example, you have just gone into a fitness journey. And I tell you this all the time, or at least I've told you this a few times. I love to see you in this fitness, I guess, activities that you're doing. Based on what you've been sharing with me, how you're feeling and the energy that it's giving you, etc. looking back, would you have changed anything? Or what have you learned about fitness looking back from this morning's workout with the Jaguar over your whole life?
Jaguar will be so happy you got a mention.
Yeah.
This is for you, Steve.
He paid me for that, actually. He paid me for the plug. Looking back, in hindsight, what is fitness for you?
So it's interesting that you've kind of specified that question then, because I was thinking of almost like a different line or different answer before. But I think the biggest thing so two big learnings on exercise for me then. One is the power of it that is everything other than the exercise itself, i.e., the exercise is a task in and of itself, but the real benefit comes in the energy that it creates within you, and then the power therefore that then has on everything else it is you want to do in life. But I think if I had to tell my, let's say, younger self or my 25 year ago self something, it would be about the power of consistency, because I think that is what has put me off exercise in the past. I mean, obviously a couple of things put me off. I mean, like even today, there's lots of exercise that I don't enjoy, and that's why we were talking earlier about how I was saying it's so important to find exercises that you do love, because then you don't give up on it. But I think for me, when I'm 20, 22, 25, whatever, I'd always do a bit of exercise, but I'd never properly commit to it, because I think I'd struggle to ever see the results. And I guess I was probably wanting too big a results and too soon. And I guess maybe at 25 I'm thinking, well, I want to have the Men's Health cover body magazine body, or I want to be a black belt karate student or whatever it may be. And because I don't get there in a week, I get I get despondent. And I've heard a few times people say lately that that expression that you overestimate what you can do in a year and you underestimate what you can do in 10 years. I think that completely just translates to that power of consistency. And I look at myself now, like today at the end of that session I did this morning, where I was completely fucked. I mean, literally dripping and dying. And before I left, he says, you've got to do 20 burpees. Now, if you'd have asked me 6 months ago, I couldn't do 20 burpees at the beginning of a session, never mind 20 burpees at the end. And it's not some magic trick that I can do them now. It's that I started off with 1 burpee, and 1 became 2, and 2 became 4, and 4 became 10, and 10's now 20.
I've seen you struggle with 10 push-ups. So the fact that you're fucking just ripping out burpees, and I've seen you do it, that is testimony to just keep showing up consistently.
And that's the lesson, like you say, showing up is 80% of the battle. And just that power of consistency, that yes, today it's going to be tough, and tomorrow it's going to be tough, and after a week you're probably not really going to be seeing any results, and after a month you might not be seeing many results, but then one day you just wake up and that snowball has hit you. And I guess if you use that analogy of that snowball, when you're rolling it, it's like impossible to roll at first, isn't it? It's tiny, and for seconds, if not minutes, it's impossible to roll. I think it's a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, and then you just look at it one roll, and the thing's like a fucking foot long, and there's no shortcut.
This is a bit of a selfish question for me, because we're friends, and if I see a friend of mine that doesn't get the significance of fitness, I often say that if you think it's about fitness or abs, whatever, you've seriously fucking missed the point. So when I see someone that I care about not get it, it gets to me. So I wanted to capture this moment to be able to share with other people, maybe if they haven't got it for a long time, now maybe, this conversation can give them a little bit of permission to say, actually, you know what? For a guy that's not been into fitness, and now he is into fitness, and he's saying these are the benefits, and I'm feeling better, and I've got the energy, etc. Maybe I should give it a go. We had a workout. I don't know what it was, a month and a half ago, and we were just chatting on WhatsApp, and I was like, bro, just keep even if you have 10 minutes, I think I gave you like a 10-minute workout. That is the key. it is the only thing you need to focus on is showing up every single day. The easiest way to get fit is train every day. The easiest way to learn Spanish is speak it every day. The easiest way to learn how to trade is fucking trade every day, or sit on your screens and sit on your books, etc. So that's the fitness element. So thank you so much for.
Well, let me say one more thing on fitness before we go on, then, because I think that this is such a real life example of, you know, two people who I won't name, but they, you know, it's quite obvious to anyone who knows who they are, but they, I'm sure, won't mind me talking about them. I've got two very key people in my organisation who I've had different struggles with for different reasons. You know, one of the particular people is amazing, but they and you know what I mean. I haven't got any criticisms of them whatsoever, other than the fact that you know, I would look at their personal life and say that, you know, they probably drank too much or smoked too much or maybe partied too much, which, you know, maybe they see as fun as a young person, but I can see that it's probably inhibiting them in some way, shape or form, and they'd be better off without it. I then got another person who undoubtedly is good at the work, but is just underperforming in every area for me, and but not underperforming because he can't do the work, but underperforming because I think his personal life is all over the shop. And with one of the people, the first person I mentioned who is great in every area for me. I gave her a couple of personal training sessions a week with the guy I train with back in Leeds, Berno. And, you know, for the first, you know, week or two, she kind of struggled, then got into a bit, and then the kind of 1 a week became 2 a week, and I think she even tops it up with some of her own now. And I look at her now, who, look, and like I say, she was always an amazing person to me anyway, but she looks like a different person, whole new lease of life. You know, she dresses different to work. You know, she's more motivated. She's you know, she wants to build teams. She wants to, you know, really develop a career more and more. And for me, that is purely down to the power and energy that's come to her from that exercise, because she was already shit hot at everything else anyway, you know, but that's, you know, it's done something in her life that, you know, that pushes her on. And then the other example is this other guy who, like I say, I'm sure he could do the work, but I never got to see any of the results because, you know, there was always so many barriers in the way because of his personal life. And, you know, we had quite a few tough talks together, and I basically insisted he now went to see the same trainer too, because I felt that the exercise would change him, and I also think the trainer himself will be a good guy to kind of, you know, give this guy a spurring on. And we're probably only 4, 5, 6 weeks maximum into this now, and don't worry, he's not training anywhere, let's say, near as much as I am, but, you know, compared to what he is before, you know, he's now messaging me going, I've had the best night's sleep I've ever had.
That's
or,
great,
you know, I'm eating broccoli. I've never eaten broccoli before. I've stopped drinking. You know, the mates are out on the party this weekend. I'm not. And, you know, look, it's the beginning of the journey, but I'm already seeing a big difference in him as an individual. And again, it can only be brought back to the exercise. Like you said, we can give example after example after example. And like you said, exercise isn't about abs, you know, and like you say, exercise, it's not about fitness, and it's not even about, like I say, it's not about me telling you to enjoy exercise. Look, it's better if you do enjoy it, hence find an activity you like. Like, I like boxing and I don't like rowing. I'll box 2 hours, 3 hours a day if I could. I won't do 10 minutes rowing. Therefore, it's so important to find what you like. But when you find what you like and you commit to it, the benefits are everywhere other than the gym. So like,
yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say, does that make sense? But I don't need to tell you, do I? So.
No, I mean, it makes sense for everyone else watching or listening to this. And, you know, I never thought a year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago that we would be having this conversation about fitness and the benefits of fitness. Thank you so much. And, you know, I knew this was going to happen. We weren't even meant to talk about this. And I'm conscious of the fact that you have a dinner coming up very soon. So, you know, not to go on too long sitting here in your amazing apartment, I do want to ask you one more question. And the reason why I asked you this question is because we were talking about this the other day. Now, on the surface level, to everyone watching and listening, this will seem like a very question, like, you know, that everyone may ask. but I'm very interested to get your perspective and to get your answer, which is going to be very personal. So here's the question. You said to me, actually, let me say the thing and then I'll ask you the question. You said to me the other day while we were driving in your car, you said, I used to think that I needed 9 figures, and now I realize that 7 figures will suffice. I think you said that.
It's so funny you're asking me this, because I was actually thinking earlier, I'm so glad that I've got JP around, because he spurs me on. And I actually thought, I was thinking about that conversation, I thought, I told JP 7 figures will suffice. What kind of an idiot am I? and you know why? I try and justify it to myself when I'm having bad days. And it's like, I was watching a training on hiring today, and someone was talking about something which I see as parallel to that statement just then, when they were saying that, there's no great companies that have got 2 members of staff. There's probably also no great companies that have got 20 members of staff. The great companies, have got scale and have got, hundreds of people, running at scale and culture at X, Y, Z. And, there's always that expression that small is beautiful. And I've, throughout my career, go through peaks and troughs of wanting to build something big and then thinking, quite a few problems in being big. I can actually make more money by being small. But it's just me kidding myself and justifying to myself that I'm failing at being big at the moment, because how can you make more money being small than being big? It doesn't make it. Okay, if you're getting it wrong on the journey to being big, then of course you can.
That's true.
How is it conceivable to say that me as a 2-man band computer seller can make more money than Apple? It's a ridiculous statement. So I think we sell ourselves stories of the beauty of smallness to justify failing when we're trying to go big.
So I want to not
that's not what you're asking me, but
no, but I'm glad that you shared that, because it's really going to open up what we're going to discuss now, hopefully. So I'm not going to challenge you on that, but I get what you mean. And I think what I took from that conversation was you felt like you needed, emphasis on the word need, 9 figures, but that you realize through becoming more fulfilled, happier, living a life that you love, that actually you don't need 9 figures, 7 figures will suffice. Is that how you say it? Suffice?
Yeah, that's right.
So in terms of a need, but you can still want fucking 10 figures, 11 figures, but there's such a big difference between need and want. You kind of, the energy that you brought to the conversation was, oh, I have to have this. But actually now you're like, no, I don't have to, I want to. And that's a very different energy.
Yeah, I mean, I think, what I was specifically talking about, and what I always used to think is, let's contextualize that 9 figures. I used to think, I need a huge house in all these different countries. I need a jet to fly between them and a fleet of cars outside each one. And whilst, and what I now appreciate is that whilst I can not imagine that I could ever be satisfied with peanuts and I guess living in a studio with no money, the concept of having all of that stuff is semi-ludicrous. And I think, and what I've learned, and it's an expression that I nicked from someone else who said it years ago, is every set of keys brings another set of problems. And, when I look at a lot of the stresses I have in life, they're probably brought from unnecessary, material irritants. You've got, and ultimately, what do you need that house in that country for? And this becomes like a philosophical conversation. And again, there's no right answer. And you could argue if you've got all the money, then it doesn't matter what you need. You get what you want. But I guess the way I see it is, like a lot of people say to me, I'm stupid for buying the boat. But my justification...
I totally disagree.
But my justification to myself, and it could be just justification, but people say, why would you buy? You should just charter. And I think you should charter if you're doing it once or twice or 3 weeks of the year. But I used that boat this summer 3.5 months solid.
And you're a fucking master of bringing people constantly to
Exactly.
you.
You know, so for me, the two things are, I'm using it for such a depth of time that it can't possibly be cheaper for me to charter than buy. But secondly, whatever the cost of it is, I will make that cost back, whether that's in enjoyment, in marketing, in networking, in, you know, bringing investors, bringing clients. So that's my justification to me. But I think if I had 3 boats in 3 countries, then I couldn't possibly get value out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess that's
And also your personal branding is so strong. So to have the squirter in pink is just, I mean, it's so personal to you. You know, if it's not like you go to Marbella, Ibiza, south of France, and you look at a yacht and you say, I think that's Matt Haycox's yacht. No, you fucking know. You know that's his yacht because it says the Sea Squirter and it has pink furniture. But bro, as always, I'm just loving our conversation, and I haven't even got to the question. And you know, because of a lack of time, I can't even get into. I wanted you to challenge me on this whole smaller is better, because that's where I'm at. Like, you know, I was trying to expand and do all these things, and then realize charging 5 and 6 figures for coaching. I was like, man, I can just do private coaching and invest into small businesses, 10 grand, 5 grand, 20 grand into properties. But that's, I think time-wise, that's going to have to be a whole other conversation.
We should have that conversation tomorrow because there is a whole, I mean, you've not even told me your full story on that then, but as soon as you were saying that to me about, you know, I could be smaller and just, you know, work with a smaller number of people at a higher value, I'm already in my head thinking, well, yeah, you can. But then what is then stopping someone else, you know, not licensing, but let's say managing the JP content for the next tier of people? And what's stopping someone else managing the JP content for the people who can only afford 10 quid a month?
I'm just a really fucking terrible manager.
And so I guess going back to that, you know, to that small is beautiful. It's like me saying to myself, yeah, I could, I don't know, let's say have a lending book of 5 million quid with just me and, you know, 1 accounts girl and 1 underwriter. And that would make more money than, let's say, a 15 million pound book when I'm running it badly. Yeah. But if I can get the organisation and the infrastructure in place, how can I possibly make more money with a 5 million pound book than I could with a 500 million pound book? And yeah, you know, you could make yourself, you know, a great amount of money and a good lifestyle with 10 clients paying 50 grand a year or 10 clients paying 100 grand a year. But the content, within reason, the content's the same content, whether it's delivered to that person, or that person. Always. Therefore, it's just finding the methods of distribution and delivery, and you can hit everybody. You know, I guess that would Tony Robbins be making more money if he was only seeing his high net worths? Well, no, he wouldn't be. But Tony Robbins has got 500 or whatever the number is of people working 24 hours around the clock,
I mean, his scale
delivering his content.
I mean, even if he charges, you know, he says publicly, I charge $1 million a year plus an upside of your business. But if he had 20 of those clients, he's still not going to make what he makes, you know, from running all these events. But anyway, so we're going off.
Let's do that conversation tomorrow, because that'll be a good one.
Because I think that, you know, that's something that really is aligned to, I guess, what you do. And this is why I asked you the other day, like, at what amount do you take on investors, etc.? Because Jules and I thought, you know, just like Jules will just fuel me to be the best coach. You know, you like coaches at the next level, not my level, at the next level are charging 100 grand, 200 grand a year, corporate contracts, etc. And then just put a percentage of that away, go up north in the UK where we live, buy small properties, invest in a small business. This person wants to start a salon, this person wants to start a gym. But yeah, that's another conversation. So I still haven't got to my question. I said before, this might sound like a cliche question, but I want to know your personal thoughts on this. And it comes from this 9 figures to 7 figures thing. But now at 40, now at 33, what do you believe is most important in life? And I don't even need to say, be honest, because I know you're going to be. So I'm just saying that now out loud because I want people to know that this is no fucking answer for a camera. Like, this is going to be your truth.
Well, it's a cliche question, which I'll give a cliched answer, but I always say that I think cliches are kind of cliches for a reason, because they can't, they kind of are true. I think happiness and freedom. Now, what that looks like for different people is different things. And if you ask me the same question on a different day of the week, whilst the underlying answer might be the same, I might give you a different answer of what happiness and freedom
as in
actually
a
is.
vehicle for how you're fulfilling that.
Yes.
Yeah.
As in, I may think that happiness is 9 figures when I realise that freedom is 7 figures.
Yeah.
So how I'd answer may depend what mood I'm going in. But
but the destination is still the same. Happiness and freedom.
And the older I get, the more I do realise the importance of being able to wake up. I say stress-free. I don't want to say it in a naive way, because you can't have it all, and you can't have let's say great money and a great life and XYZ and no stress. I guess any upside always has its degree of downside. So it's how do you balance that and how do you manage it? But yeah, I understand now more and more the importance of not running around like a headless chicken or a busy fool, not doing things for ego or vanity, and being. And again, that might sound daft to a lot of people watching or listening, because I'm sure so many things I do look like ego and vanity. But that is definitely my answer.
But on that, I agree. People looking at you that don't know you, they'll think this guy's all about vanity and ego. But when you know Matt, it's just not the case. He knows what he fucking loves. And for me too, there's a lot of things that I do, like including, let's just speak to the elephant in the room in both our cases, like tattoos. A lot of people think that I have tattoos for ego. I just fucking love tattoos. I really love tattoos. And I don't need people's permission for me to be creative with my canvas, because to me that's all it is. It's just a canvas. I just realized I keep hitting the mic on my chest, but yeah. So you realize now what's important, and it's happiness and freedom. And in my opinion, freedom, to elaborate on that, to do what you want, when you want, how you want, where you want, with who you want, I think that is everything. Mm-hmm. And the enemy of that, and this is where it comes to you, and what fucking so inspires me about you, the enemy of freedom is caring what other people think.
100%.
And let me just tell you, I feel like I need to face the camera now. Everyone in the world wants to be happy. Matt mentioned happiness. Now, I work in this area of happiness and freedom, right, as a coach. To be happy, you need to feel free. Free what? Free to be you. The enemy of that, which you need to become friends with and accept and move through, is the opinions of others. And that is the enemy of extraordinary. That is the enemy of freedom. That is the enemy of happiness. And I had a client recently that had a mansion, his own investment fund in the millions, Aston Martin. And after working with me, I said, what did you get from this? He said, JP, I'm just happy. I'm happy. And that is the most important thing. Everyone wants to be happy, but like Matt said, your vehicle is your vehicle.
But the important thing, I guess, is to know what makes you happy and to go for it. Because, listen, whilst, yeah, again, I'm not going to say, I won't for a minute say the more money you have, the happier you're not. But I also believe you have to have a base level of money. Now, everybody's base level is different, but you have to have a base level, because it's the money that brings the freedom and the freedom that brings the happiness. But I tell you what, I don't know many of my wealthy mates or acquaintances, people with big money, who are really happy. I think they're all doing. But then again, and this is like another whole level of conversation.
Yeah.
But it's all, you know, for me down to mindset, or, you know, feeling the need to follow convention, or feeling the need, you know, to keep other people happy. But it's something I've said a lot lately when people say to me, "Oh my God, you know, how did you move to Dubai? You know, I'd love your lifestyle, this, that, and the other." And I say, well, if you're let's say a skint person, or someone with not much money, you can move to Dubai for a 700 quid plane ticket, and take whatever job it is you're doing in the UK, and come and try and find a way to do it in Dubai. If you've got a load of money, then why are you even asking me the fucking question? But you can move tomorrow, and I think so many of these happiness things are just down to perception, mindset, you know, keeping other people happy, or feeling that you've got to do what everybody else does.
Yeah, shout out to the happiness minister in Dubai and Happiness Street.
Yes.
There's an actual happiness street in Dubai. And thank you so much, dude. I've really... Whoa.
I was going to say...
You're so late
I'm
for dinner.
I'm going to have happiness removed from my agenda.
You're so late
have my
for dinner.
Have my balls chopped.
I just
What time
looked
is
at
it?
my watch.
Please don't.
And
What
you
time
are
is it?
fucked.
What time is it? 9:15.
20 past 9.
I can get there. But we'll finish talking tomorrow.
Oh man,
JP.
I wanted to say more, but yeah, man. Thank you so much.
We're going to do this again tomorrow, because that's the great thing of having you around. That whether it's on camera or off camera, you know, I love your questions. I love your train of thoughts, and you know, it always, like I say, it's re-inspired me to go back to 9 figures and stop pissing around with 7.
And last thing I want to say is, and I said this to you in Ibiza when you invited me to stay with you in Ibiza. I love how you're happy on your journey. So many people, successful people, chasing success, maybe not there yet, are so caught up in the journey and the stress of the journey that they aren't actually enjoying themselves. And the reason why I'm very protective of my circle, Jules always jokes I have no friends. And the reason why I like to hang out with you is you just fucking have a good time. And I love that about you. And to come to the money thing on a separate note, and I'll be 30 seconds. We talked about, money's not important and stuff. And yes, it is. You know, it is. But if you make money your everything, you're fucked. Mm-hmm. Because money will never, ever be constant. It doesn't matter if you are a waiter or if you're Warren Buffett. Money is never a constant. So you can't make your happiness money. But if you want to be happy, know what you want and know the money that you need to get it. For example, I worked out, I love to journal. I worked out 2 days ago that you can't have an abundant life in Dubai if you're not earning 50K a month. That for me is what I worked out. Now that's like truly abundant. Like you're going out 3 times a week, you're renting a sports car every few days, you're going on these excursions or skydiving. 50K, like obviously minus tax and VAT and all that stuff. I'm from the UK, obviously. But you need money. You need money to be happy. Anyway, bro, I'm talking too much. Listen, thank you so much.
Thanks as always.
It's been a pleasure. Let's cheers one more time.
Cheers.
I'm going to eat my burrito while you go out for dinner.
Guys, I hope you've enjoyed earwigging on my conversation with JP again. We're going to do more this week. We're going to do lots more every time I see him. So enjoy yourselves. I'll see you next time. I've been Matt Haycox. He's been JP.
Cheers.
Thank you.